Hi, this is Shu with a review of the KD16. The first look, if you're a sneakerhead or a basketball shoe head, the first thing you realize is this a new Air Penny shoe? They're very reminiscent of the Air Penny 2 design overall, with this little wing and the line that runs around the shoe that's 3M reflective material. Yeah, it feels like a low-cut penny, but it says KD. Um, the shoe for a size 9.5, it weighs about slightly above 400 grams, but it feels slightly bulkier or heavier than what the digits show. So it's not the greatest thing in terms of KD's trying to be lighter. I think 15 was lighter than 14, so it's a step back. Fit, I would say you can go true to size if you have a very narrow foot. In the previous KDs, 13 was the narrowest. Compared to KD 13, this is a lot more roomier. Compared to shoes like KD 15, I think it's comparable. Personally, I would say go true to size, or if you wear really thick socks or you wear braces or whatever, at least try and go up half a size. If you have a very, very narrow foot and you like a tight fit, maybe go true to size. But generally, it's not a bad fit because KDs in the past, the 14s, 13s, I had to go a full size or a full size and a half up because they were so crazily narrow. The material, it's soft and breathable and flexible, but at the same time, these mudguard type of leathery material around provides an additional lockdown. It provides some level of stability, unlike some of the crazy shoes that we've seen in recent months where it was just flimsy all around. Another good thing about the shoe is that the lace loops come all the way down nearby the toe area, so the lockdown is more, you can customize it better to form better around your foot. Lockdown is better, improved. Overall, the padding is nice all around, no pinching sensation anywhere, and the heel lockdown is, I think, better than the KD 14 or the 15s. 15s and the 14s had a bit of a heel slippage issue. This, however, it hugs and locks down much better than the previous two. So that's definitely, I wouldn't say an upgrade. I think that's the least amount of decency you show to your consumers if you're creating quality basketball shoes. So anyway, I think another saving grace of the shoe, or rather a slight improvement from the KD 15, is that the 15 went down, devolved compared to the 14s in terms of the ankle inversion prevention mechanism, because it was very narrow and they did not have any protruding midsoles or outriggers, so you felt a lot unstable. Not as bad as the LeBron 15, but close to that. So this has an outrigger, and at the same time, it's got this wing, which is kind of limited, but it actually helps. It goes all the way up to the top of your foot, so it locks your foot down nicely, and it provides an anti-inversion breakage that works nicely, almost as good as the KD14s. The cushioning is interestingly heel, wouldn't even say heel, it comes all the way to the midfoot area, air strobel. And on the forefoot, it's covered with a thick strobel board, and underneath there's a zoom air. The zoom air is not right underneath the strobel board. I believe it's a bit closer to the outsole area, so it's strange. Zoom air on the heel, maybe for impact protection, you might want to put the zoom bottom loaded, but for the forefoot, never put the zoom air below, further away from the strobel board or the insole. I don't know why, because recently Nike has been doing a good job of making sure that the insole is, the zoom air on the forefoot is right below your foot, but you can feel it or even touching it. So this is a strange step down. The forefoot zoom is kind of a rectangular zoom air like the ones used in the recent Tatum ones. It's not a zoom strobel like the ones we've seen, or the zoom turbo like the ones we've seen in models like the Kyrie's or the LeBron 20s. The heel air is very soft. I wish it was either, here's two things they could have done it differently. They could have had the midsole that's Cushlon. They could have had a thicker Cushlon midsole and then put the air sole on top, or they could have a thicker air sole, or have the air sole not exposed right underneath your foot, but rather working in between the Cushlon midsole. That would have worked better, because right now the air sole just completely compresses as you're foot slips into the shoe, so you feel like you're kind of standing with your forefoot pointed up. So there's not enough of a heel to drop. The offset is not there, so this could be pretty dangerous for people who have tender Achilles, who might be suffering from some type of Achilles ailment, because when your feet is kind of point downwards and you're moving around, and most of the times you're doing that like you're wearing a pair of jump soles, that's not really healthy. Also, it kind of retards your speed in terms of pushing off and toe off and whatnot. So it is a strange choice. It's a strange setting. Again, the forefoot zoom area is there, and the cushion line is there, and the swivel board is there, and there's no swivel board on the heel, so you can see where the difference in thickness comes. And at the same time, this plastic plate, it's prominent on the forefoot but not on the heel, so the heel is again thinner than the forefoot by that much. And also this what they thought would give it sort of a stability or some springy push off. It's better if you have this maybe up to here. You don't really need it around the toe area, and if you have that, you might want to come down all the way to the heel, or at least closer to the heel, because there's this weird imbalance if you wear the shoe. I mean, if you're always on your toes and you don't care about being landing on your foot flat or moving side to side, but basketball, you probably move around everywhere. So, but still, the plate being underneath all the cushioning is definitely better than what we've seen in those crazy Adidas models in the recent months. The Dawn issues or the Dames suddenly had these plastic plates right underneath your foot to completely make the cushioning blunt and useless, and at the same time the heel kind of sinking. So it is a strange choice. So if you added this plastic, you would have had to add an extra layer of foam to make sure it's lifted, make sure there's a bit of a balance between the heel to toe area. So this is a very unbalanced shoe and very unstable shoe. So if you really like this shoe and you want to wear it for performance, to preserve your Achilles heel, I would advise getting a different insole where the heel is a little more thicker or lifted, or adding something to the insole that's already given here. Just cut out the heel part of the insole of whatever you have, add that to the heel, maybe to provide a little bit of lift, but you got to do something to modify it to provide that security. The insole is very nice and thick. EVA insole is what I prefer to Ortholite, because Ortholite is just like sponge. It's like non-existent and it's not durable. But here it actually forms to mold to your foot, and at the same time it kind of balances or smooth things out when the cushioning is, these days cushioning is very unusual. They try something different, they try something that's uneven. So what this does is it kind of butters and neutralizes everything, and at the same time molds to your fit. And the top coat is very suede and nice, so it provides that friction, and it provides that groove that will mold to the shape of your foot. So EVA, this is a pretty thick EVA insole. I love it. Thick EVA insoles all the way, please. And the outsole pattern, yeah, they say it's kind of like clockwork, the little parts of clocks or whatever. So it's supposed to reflect KD's approach to the game, that everything is mechanically so sound and whatever. BS. To me, it sounds like time's running out for you, boy, because you're gonna have to retire soon, and you're full of injuries. You're not as effective as before, and you think coming to this Suns team is good. That's your biggest mistake in your career killer there. You got two other guys who want the ball and shoot, so can't do your math, man. How many times do you think you're gonna be holding and shooting the ball when you got two other guys who need and wants to do the same, and that's the only thing they do? So yeah, the Suns are done. I'm sorry, Suns fans, I'm sorry, but that's the reality. Unless you do something drastic, you're not gonna rely on the Slim Reaper, who said, "Oh, I want a nickname like the Servant because I just want to be humble." F you, man. We know who you are. Phony who can't stand anything so thin-skinned. You gotta go to Twitter and just argue with people whenever people say something. Those are matter of facts, and you can't accept that. Yeah, just don't be in the spotlight. Find another job. But I do have a lot of respect for his skills. The way he is able to carry himself and move around, that 7-foot frame, that lanky 7-foot frame, to be able to last through this many seasons, and scoring that many points and getting the job done over smaller, quicker players and bigger, stronger players. When you see guys who are 7 foot over, like Chet Holmgren or Wembanyama, who want to play like guards, they can't do it. Kristaps Porzingis always getting hurt. So KD, definitely, I gotta respect you for that. You got those skills that not many, probably you might be the only one of very few to come in the future who are 7 foot and wiry and can move like a guard and score like a guard. Respect to you for that. But your shoes suck. Yeah, price point is a bit weird, and yeah, and the traction not that great. Not too bad, but dust sensitive. Compared to the previous KDs, I would say this has the worst traction compared to comparable to KD 14 maybe, because 14 was also dust sensitive, but I think this is the worst. 13, 14, 15, 16, among them, worst traction. Cushioning, dangerous heel sinking. So yeah, those are the things you might want to consider before you try the KD 16s.